Hey everybody, welcome back to Video MSO. Today we're gonna get a fun and random episode for you guys this evening because yesterday Indifelity released his MSU-1 port of Mega Man 1 to the Super Nintendo. It's Mega Man 1 as you know and remember it with an amazing new soundtrack, a complete lack of slowdown, and FMV cutscenes. Because the last time you played Mega Man 1, you probably don't remember the introductory sequence to the cartoon playing in front of the game. And that's the great thing about the MSU-1 chip. It is basically imaginary, but it enhances the capabilities of the Super Nintendo in so many unique and interesting ways. And the best part is, here on MiSTer FPGA, it is 100% incorporated into the core, so you can get MSU-1 compatible games running. And there's more than one way to do this, but I am playing it on MiSTer FPGA. And if it's been a while since you played Mega Man, you're gonna forget that this game is absolutely brutal, wants to kill you, and is out to basically make you continue over and over again. This is the type of game that always gets me because I haven't played it probably in like a year or so, but I immediately start to play it again and want to see the credits scroll. And it's so much fun to have a port to this to the Super Nintendo because it improves a lot of the things that the NES version may be lacking in. Obviously, there was definitely some slowed down here in spots in the NES version, and that seems to be 100% alleviated on this new port to the Super Nintendo. Obviously, the Super Nintendo is a more powerful piece of hardware, and you add the MSU-1 chip in there and its capabilities, and you end up with a version of Mega Man 1 that basically feels like they had put it out on the Super Nintendo with NES style graphics. But again, this game is cruel, pick the wrong path here and you're 100% going to plummet to your death. There's no changes in the difficulty of the game as far as I can tell. It is still brutally hard. If you haven't played for a while, it's going to take you a little bit to get up to speed. But I love things like this. I love modern recreations of retro games. Seeing a game that I remember growing up with on the NES come over to the Super Nintendo with the MSU-1 enhancements on it feels both familiar and completely new at the exact same time. And that's an amazing thing. It basically gives you the ability to play a game you remember, but it feels suddenly fresh and new. There's lack of slowdown, there's different changes, there's different improvements to the underlying code, and there's also an amazing soundtrack that sounds nothing like it ever did before. So listen, and I'll be right back. That track is both instantaneously familiar and completely foreign at the same time. It does not belong in Mega Man 1, but yet here it is on the MSU-1 enhanced port of the game. And you even get an amazing guitar riff when you beat a boss. It sounds so good coming out of the hardware, so just give it a quick listen. I mean, that's absolutely wild, and I love the sound of this new soundtrack. Well, technically it's been around for a while, but it's now been married into Mega Man 1 on the MSU-1 version for the Super Nintendo. It's a mouthful of letters, but it just improves the game overall. But of course, this is still the Mega Man 1 you know, love, and remember. The gameplay is here, the challenge is here, it's just a better way to play an absolute classic. And it's not like Mega Man 1 has seen any lack of re-releases. There's so many different ways you can play this game. But losing the slowdown and gaining that awesome soundtrack, as well as some FMV cutscenes here and there, just make the experience overall, in my opinion, the best way to play this game. And the best part is you don't need a MiSTer FPGA to be able to enjoy it. There's so many different ways to enjoy MSU-1 titles. And the number one takeaway outside of this being so impressive is just how well this game still continues to hold up. Mega Man is as fun today as it ever was on the day of release. And you could throw the original NES cartridge into a Nintendo, throw it on your television, and have just as much fun with it. But if you played it to death, this is a new way to do it, and it is an absolutely amazing experience. I love the soundtrack, and the best part is there's more than one enhanced soundtrack you can pick from the menu. I'll get to that a little bit later in the video. But again, just don't forget, Mega Man is exceedingly difficult. You are going to die a lot unless you have a photographic memory of the game. But I love all the levels, I love all the graphics, and I particularly love the lack of slowdown in this enhanced port, because the original game could chug in spots. But I'm going to give you a longer sample of the soundtrack so you get a good sense of just how much more impressive this is versus real Super Nintendo hardware, and I'll come back and talk more about the different soundtracks and other improvements in the game. But enjoy the soundtrack because it is a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. Enjoy! I just absolutely love that soundtrack, and it sounds spectacular coming out with clear HDMI off my MiSTer FPGA. And of course, you definitely want to play this game on a system that doesn't have much lag whatsoever, because some of the platforming is absolutely precise. It sometimes feels like a Kaizo Mario game in the ways that it designs just to screw you over as a player. Capcom was pulling no punches on the difficulty back in the day, and it 100% shows here. And the best part is you have multiple options on how you can play this game. Right now we're playing the MSU-1 enhanced version with the new soundtrack. You also have the PSP soundtrack as an MSU-1 enhanced version, and then you have the original Mega Man 1 with the lack of slowdown but the original NES chiptune soundtrack. So you're actually getting 3 different versions of the same game in the same upgrade. You're getting the MSU-1 enhanced soundtrack I just let you listen to, you're getting the PSP soundtrack, and you're also getting an improved Mega Man 1 with the original music. And you'll see here you have different options. If you pick this one right here, you're just going to get the original NES audio, but all of that slowdown and those other issues that have been kind of taken care of in the MSU-1 version are still going to persist across to this, and that is great. It gives you the options to decide how you want to play the game. But honestly, the new soundtrack that's not from the PSP is definitely my favorite. But I'm going to give you a side-by-side comparison of both audio tracks in just a moment, and leave me a comment down below and tell me which one you like better, because I think there's probably going to be different answers, because the PSP soundtrack is definitely a ton of fun and I absolutely love it, and you even get the really fun but small PSP FMV cutscene when you pick that game. If you pick Powered Up, you're getting Mega Man 1 except the PSP soundtrack. Listen, and I'll be right back to discuss.
Ready? Go!
First one was the PSP soundtrack, the second one was the newer soundtrack, so tell me down below which one you prefer, because they have completely different vibes. One is light and cheery and feels more cartoonish, the other one is straight rock soundtrack with the Mega Man game behind it. And again, as we go through more levels here, this is just probably the quintessential version of this game at this point in time. You have 3 different soundtrack sets, so many different enhancements. It is just basically a perfect package, and it's a love letter to Mega Man fans, NES fans, as well as SNES fans. Just don't open up the MiSTer FPGA heads-up display when you're trying to play the game, or you'll totally screw yourself over and end up dying. And I love that you even get animated FMV cutscenes as well. They're from the television show, and it just works so much. But again, the main takeaway here, other than this being spectacular, is how many new inventive ways Mega Man and Capcom come up with killing you. Like I said, it's been probably a year since I've actually played this game, and I have forgotten basically everything. You need to be perfect when you're playing it, but now that you have a completely new version with 2 amazing new soundtracks, you're going to want to play the game all over again. So run, don't walk to the new MSU-1 version, play it and enjoy. Bye-bye.